Call this meeting to order Monday, November 17th at 6 p.m. Cross, would you do roll call, please?
Jason?
Here.
Mike?
Here.
Jake?
Here.
Jim?
Here.
Joe?
Here.
Eric?
Here.
Carolyn?
Here.
Briggs?
Here.
Crosby, yes. Here.
This is an open meeting and has been posted. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, up first, we have a recognition, Employee of the Month, Big Bend Elementary School.
Wendy, would you mind coming up? So if Above and Beyond had a name, it would be Wendy Fleck. As our school nurse, Wendy is a steadfast advocate for student health and safety, balancing compassion, professionalism, and remarkable composure in one of the busiest health rooms in the district, often seeing up to 80 students a day. From administering medication and managing phone calls home to comforting students through illness or injury, Wendy handles every situation with calm, care, and an unfailing sense of humor. Wendy's dedication extends far beyond routine care. She ensures every child feels safe, supported, and valued, often going out of her way to meet individual needs, whether that means finding a snack for a hungry student or lending a listening ear. Her kindness and steady presence have made her health room a trusted, welcoming space for students, many of whom stop by just to say hello or share a drawing. Over her 20 years of service, including navigating the challenges of COVID, Wendy has exemplified what it means to be a true professional and a compassionate caregiver. She provides sound advice and resources to staff and families alike, always maintaining confidentiality and putting students first. Simply put, Wendy holds it all together for us, and our school is a better, safer, and kinder place because of her.
Congratulations.
Good job, Wendy.
Yeah.
You want to say anything?
Thanks. I have to say my staff and, the students, parents, I love working with all of them.
You're very loved, thanks.
Okay, we don't have any citizens' comments, so we are going to move on to the student report. Students, come on up.
Come up.
Right here.
So when you're talking, you can grab the mic and just put it right by your mouth so we can hear you. And you can just pass it along to one another. Parents, you can come up here and take pictures if you want. Don't be shy.
If you want to grab the mic like this, you can grab it and hold it down too, so you're not like.
It'd be easier if you grab it, I think.
Welcome. Awesome. You guys can start anytime you're ready, okay?
Hello, we are the Big Bend Student Council Executive Board.
Hi, I'm Nora.
I'm Raina.
I'm Madison.
And I'm Tegan.
And here are some highlights from our school.
Bulldog Bolt fundraiser. Every year we have a Bulldog Bolt fundraiser. And this year we raised $61,521 for our school. At the beginning of the Bulldog Bolt Bash, they pop a cool confetti popper and we start doing our laps. Every lap you do, you get one bracelet. And since we reached our money goal, we got to turn our principal into a pancake breakfast.
That part was not great.
During the Halloween party, we celebrate in the most fun ways. We celebrate with our fun games to earn candy, our candy toss, concession stand, bouncy house, and our fun soda game where you earn a whole family-sized bottle of soda. At the end, the staff will always rate our Halloween costumes, and you earn a big prize basket if you win.
Kindergarten students did a fun project this month. They decorated pumpkins like their favorite characters and then brought them to school to show off. Here's some student examples.
In math recently, the first graders mastered skip counting and recognizing patterns. They used hands-on activities to deepen and strengthen their number sense.
Second and third grade highlights. Second graders are researching animals and writing a paragraph with the topic sentence, four details, and a wrap-up sentence. This will lead into a book about an animal they will create later in the year. Third grade has gotten into a great routine with our pilot resources CKLA, which stands for Core Knowledge Language Arts.
Fourth and fifth grade highlights. Fourth grade just finished group research on 6 different natural disasters and is excited to start a narrative unit this month. The fifth grade highlights. Fifth grade students are enjoying their whole class novel Restart. They have been having some really good discussions about whether or not the main character has changed his bullying ways and whether or not he deserves a second chance to make things right with the people he has bullied in the past.
In 6th grade ELA, students are wrapping up their What Makes People Extraordinary unit. Students they read a Who Was book and then created paragraphs and slideshows to show why their chosen person is extraordinary. Here are some student examples. We have character traits of Clara Barton. We have a timeline of King Tut. We have character traits of Martin Luther King, a timeline of Amelia Earhart, and an impact of Joan of Arc.
Fifth and sixth grade orchestra are working on how to count hard rhythms. For the winter concert, they are playing March the Metronome, Goofy Little Hippo, and the orchestra's favorite, Dragon Hunter. This year, there are 2 new bass players that add an amazing lower tone to the orchestra. And this is a video of a bass lesson.
Up one. School-wide artwork. School-wide artwork is where all the students participate in making amazing artwork to be put up all around the school. Each grade level has a different piece of artwork they work on. So all around the school there are cool artwork pieces made by our talented students. Also, staff blind judge one piece of artwork from each grade level, and that artwork gets chosen to hang up in the Wall of Fame. Here are some examples.
Math Olympiad is a challenge test that some students in 5th and 6th grade take. The tests are once a month from November through March, and each child is ranked based on their performance. Our school is also ranked against other competing schools, and we work on various problem-solving skills to prepare us for the monthly tests. We're excited to start the real tests.
Adopt a Family fundraiser. We are doing a Collectivo fundraiser this year. We will be selling coffee, tea, and hot chocolate to raise money to buy gifts for families that are in need for this holiday season. All members of Student Council were given a chance to draw a picture to be the label on the coffee we sell. Our hope is that it will draw people's attention into buying more coffee. Student Council and staff voted on their top 3 designs in order to decide which one of these we would use for our labels. The selling started on November 7th, and those are our 4 top labels.
Spelling Bee. The top 3 spellers from each class in 5th and 6th grade will compete in the school-wide spelling bee.
The spelling bee at Big Bend will take place on December 4th.
The winners of the spelling bee will get to move on to the regional competition.
We're excited to see who will get to compete.
If you have more, you can continue.
Okay. Thank you for your time. This shows how great Big Bend is doing. And great thanks from our
The
city
city
council
council executive.
That was fantastic. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Great job today.
Nice job.
All right, up next, Big Bend Elementary School. Right? Okay. Welcome. Great job, ladies.
Hi, Greg.
How's that sound? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about how things are going and how things have been going over the last couple of years here at Big Bend. As always, this is it's a great team, and I'm just here as the spokesperson. It's that staff who are doing all the work. So we start off with the mission and vision. Our Big Bend mission statement: why do we exist? High-level learning for all students, really pushing whatever it takes. I say a lot of times we're 100 for 100. 100% of our staff are 100% of the students. We really want to make sure that it's this whole community of all of us. In the vision statement, a compelling future gives us what must we become. We're striving to become a highly collaborative culture with strong relationships to ensure learning, again, for all. So we take this mission and vision, again, I don't have to read our district key performance indicators, but this is something that I go back to regularly as part of our mission and vision. We're one part of a whole district. So we have our key performance indicators, and then that leads into our, next slide is our school goals. So our first goal is the ELA goal. We're doing things a little bit different this year. Previously, we used something like our FastBridge data or summative data, and we just had some, like 85% of our students would be proficient. Looking at a lot of our data, we wanted to focus more on growth. So our ELA goal, or English Language Arts, at least 60% of our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students will improve their percentile rank on the forward exam in ELA from the preceding year. We have, again, related key performance indicators, and what we're looking at is about 5% more in growth. So at least 60% of our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders this year, our rationale for that was because we were at about 54.25% last year. So we have that for ELA. Our math goal is built the same way. 55% of our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students improving their percentile rank and forward exam. Again, using our key indicators as what we're shooting for, and our rationale of 49.3% of those students last year with the growth. So just some of the things that we are really focused on at Big Bend. We have PLT, or grade level meetings, where we're meeting before our first staff meeting of the month, reviewing data, discussing needs as a team, taking that information to the staff meeting where we'll split up into vertical teams. We are splitting up into vertical teams. So we have like kindergarten through 6th grade working together, discussing what strategies are working, specific students, different interventions, different ways to meet the needs of the students. We use this data from our grade level or PLT meetings to create flexible groups based on the student needs. If it's a little bit more than what's just happening in the general education classroom, if they're working with an interventionist, or if they're working with a different staff member. And then the learning walks with Tyson, my instructional coach, we set that up. We do about probably anywhere from 3 to 6. We try to hit every grade level as often as we can. focused on specific times of the day, focused on different areas, and then we have different look-fors that we're trying to see when we go into those classrooms. So again, just a few things that we're doing. So has it been working? Here's our report card a couple of years ago at 81.1. And then last year, we were at an 82.4. And then this year, we were lucky enough, through all this hard work, to be at an 88. So the trick now, the trick now is to keep that, right? So it actually, I always say this is, now it's more pressure, because we're working hard, we know that things are working, but we can't take our foot off the gas. It really is about continuing the good work that we're doing, but always better to go that way. For Fastbridge data, just some fall to fall. This fall, we were at 83.8% of our students were college pathway, low risk, compared to last fall, 81.9 in reading or ELA. And for math, 88.7 this fall compared to 84.6. So again, good trend so far. Keeps me up at night, to keep moving that way. So that's what I've got for you so far. Questions?
So for those that don't know, the board exam will be it's usually April, right?
We'll start right before spring break.
Okay.
Yes.
So then that data, we don't receive, we get that over the summer at some point, but then that'll be the presentation for next year.
Yes. If it worked, yes.
So woohoo.
I have some of my staff members are going to be out during that time, so we're already preparing because of good things, because of babies and things like that, but we're already preparing on what schedules look like and things like that for the board exam. Perfect.
Well done. It was a really good report card.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great job.
Very proud.
Good job.
Good job, team.
I'm a big bender from way back, so you represented it well. Thank you.
Thank you.
You said it was lucky that your score went up, and I just want to say there's no luck there. That's all hard work, and you and your team, and second highest in the district. You should be proud.
Thank you. Yeah, they are really working.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, moving on to DPI accountability report card. Mr. Casal.
Hi, Ben.
Good evening.
Thank you, guys.
I thought everybody was here to listen to the data.
Ben, you made everybody leave.
Debit matter hanging in there.
Wouldn't be the first time, it won't be the last, and I'm okay with that, that's all right. And honestly, congratulations to Big Bend, I'll share a little bit about that.
Thank you.
He stole a little bit of my thunder on that, actually, as he's back there, so that's okay. And those students, I think I have to start watching out for my own presentation skills here, because they're gonna be after our jobs really soon. So, over the last month and a half, we've had the public release of our assessment data and the DPI accountability report card. So, as usual, this time of year I come in and I share some information with you, some of the highlights of our data, and there are a lot of highlights to share with you. So, lots of great things. So, we can go to the next slide, please. Let's just start with an overview of our state assessment results. I want to start here first because that lays the groundwork for everything else that we do. I'm going to start at the high school level with our ACT, and this is probably maybe our best data point to talk about, so I'm going to lead with this one, and how thrilled we are to be able to see that our high school composite average score has increased to 21.9. That's up a half a point over the year before. Many of you are aware that we had some less than desirable results on that assessment not too many years ago, and so to see that shift is really outstanding. That is the second highest performance on the ACT composite that we've had in the statewide administration era, so going back like 15, 20 years. The only time we've been higher is 2018, where we got a 22.2, and that is definitely in sight right now. So congratulations to our high school team, Stephanie, her admin team, and of course all of the teachers and the students who took that assessment, took it seriously. That is an outstanding performance there. Also at the high school, and this is for grades 9 and 10, is the pre-ACT Secure. That's part of the statewide administration.
That is in the ACT sequence, but it's kind of the test that leads up to the ACT. I'm happy to report that we saw improvement on both the ELA and the math side of things there as well. You see on the ELA side of things that we made about a 3.5 point gain in terms of students reaching proficiency. And on the math side of things, we saw an almost 6 point gain, which is really, really fantastic there. I would point out that we have a little bit of work left to do to get where we really want to be on pre-ACT secure, but to see that trajectory, that's really a point of pride with our building at the high school, representative of the work that we've done there, and I would also say representative of the work that's taken place at Parkview, getting those kids ready for the transition over to the high school, and then obviously the work that you see done at that elementary level also. So some great work at that high school. It's gonna show up on that report card score that I'm gonna show you in just a minute. Then forward exam, and Caroline, I think you asked when that is. That's this spring, and we got the public release of that data. Forward exam is taken by all of our students in grades 3 through 8. So basically all of our elementary buildings, the middle school, ELA on the English language arts side of things. You see that we made about a 2.5 point gain there, which is outstanding. One specific data point that I've pointed out to you in the past is our 3rd grade ELA. That's an important data point to us because we know that if kids are reading proficiently by the end of 3rd grade, that there is a very high likelihood that they're going to be reading proficiently throughout their academic career. The data is overwhelmingly in support of that. It's a state indicator as well. It counts extra on the school report cards. So it has been an area of focus. And you can see we had great performance last year. We upped that. We're pushing 80% of our kids proficient at 3rd grade, which is outstanding. And that's really just a credit to the work that our student learning team, our principals, our teachers, instructional coaches, interventionists, everybody. We have put so much emphasis on early literacy over the last decade. And it's really, really thrilling to see that that work has continued to pay off, and really a great data point. Just in general, Big Bend, Clarendon, Section, and Parkview all saw improvements on their forward exam English language arts performance over the last year as well. Flipping over to math, I would qualify that as probably flat data. We went down 0.3 of a point. What I would point out there is that we had a resource adoption in math last year. It's a K-5 resource adoption, but it really impacted those students in grades 3 through 5. Think of it as installing a new playbook if you are making the sports analogy. And there's always something, or often something, that we call implementation dip. It's a real thing. Teachers are learning a new resource the first year that they implement it with kids. It is not unusual for us to see a little bit of a decline. We are confident we have the right resource. It is rigorous. I know Angela and Michelle have talked to you about it over the last couple of years. We really do credit a lot of that flatness or that 0.3 of a point decrease with the fact that our teachers are learning a really complicated new resource, and that we've seen a lot of other really encouraging factors there that I think will show up in forward exam this year. On the math side of things, Section and Parkview both saw improvement. I'd like to highlight that Section and Parkview were the only 2 schools there that saw improvement on both sides of things. And really I want to highlight both those buildings because there's some really great work going on in all of our buildings, but particularly there to see that improvement there. Questions on the state data results there?
What would you say to the Debbie Downers of the world on social media that are saying our grades are only going up because of the lower standards from the state?
So if you're looking at it through the context of the report cards and the proficiency standards, clearly DPI made some decisions to readjust those a couple of years ago. We can't set the rules that we play by with that. We have to live with what DPI sets for us with that. So we will make comparisons based on the norms that DPI gives us. We will look comparatively with other districts in Waukesha County, and I think by those metrics we are performing well. So it's not the only reason we saw an improvement. I think there's some really hard work going on. The ACT, for example, I'll point that one out. DPI's norm changes had nothing to do with the average composite score. That is a like-for-like comparison to previous years. And so, yeah, I think if you look at the state as a whole, you could certainly make that argument. I think we look at that through the lens of what are the pieces that we can control and how can we make this data still relevant for our staff, for our administrative teams, to be able to do some long-range planning. But it's a great question, Dale.
And I agree with the ACT scores.
It's a fantastic piece. Yep. All right, I think we can go to the next slide. So we'll jump in and talk a little bit about the report cards. And just as a reminder, these are required by state statute for each publicly funded school and district in the state. So public schools, charter schools, choice schools, if they receive public dollars, they should receive a report card. And these report cards consist of multiple data points that stretch out over several years. And really there's a focus around achievement, attendance, and graduation rates. We put a lot of stock in these report cards, not just because the public looks at them, because they're public-facing documents and they're representative of how we're doing, but really those 4 priority areas that you see there are things that are important to us. Achievement, how well students are performing in school. Growth, you heard Greg talk about growth. We want our kids not just to achieve at high levels, but we want them growing farther and higher with each passing year. Target group outcomes. That's a mini report card of how our lowest performing students are growing and achieving year over year. That's an important thing to us. We want our lowest performing students to close gaps. And then on track to graduation, which is things like attendance, graduation rates, 3rd grade ELA, which I talked about the importance there, and 8th grade math, which is also important because that shows readiness for college level math. So, the statute and DPI has created a system where those priority areas are important, they're relevant to us, and so we do take them seriously. All of that gets distilled down into a rating based on a score, which we'll talk about. A couple of other highlights, we'll go to the next slide. So, Dale, you mentioned that the norms were changed a couple of years ago, and that upset the whole apple cart. To accommodate that change, you might remember last year I came to you and said that we were going to see new changes this year. They needed to make changes because the report cards really were not representative of how schools and districts were really performing based on the new norms. So the Department of Public Instruction this past summer facilitated what they call a standard setting process. So they looked again at the data, they looked at the scores, and the first thing they did is they redefined those performance levels. And so one category that we pay special attention to is that significantly exceeds expectations category. They raised that threshold from 83 to 84 points, so they made it a little bit harder to achieve. I'm not going to talk too much about those other 2 bullet points because we really should not be living down in those areas, but you can see those changes there. The other changes that were made this year are also important to note. Typically on these report cards, they look at 3 years of achievement data. But because that 3rd year, if you go back 3 years, was under an old system of how they calculated things, they dropped that for this year. Next year, they will go back to 3 years of achievement data when they have 3 consistent years, sort of apples to apples data to compare. So this year was 2 years of achievement, which is positive for us because we've seen some great data over the last 2 years. And you may remember I talked about a formula adjustment they made last year, a mathematical adjustment. They got rid of that for this year. That was supposed to equalize out the scores to accommodate that norming change that we talked about. They got rid of that this year because they've made some other changes. But they did something that what they described as norming this to growth as opposed to achievement. I would clear all of you out if I got into the nitty-gritty of that. There'd be nobody left here at that point. But the bottom line, what you need to look at is what they're trying to do is equalize this and norm it. And there was still some mathematical adjustments made sort of under the hood, if you will. It's still too early to tell what this will look like in the long term. This is a new report card this year. So I want to be fully transparent with what I've seen in those pieces. And the bottom line in all of this is that these report cards are really not comparable to previous report cards. You have to look at them. They're similar. They're like comparing oranges to tangerines. They're both citrus fruit. They're kind of in that same vein. They are not apples to apples. So I want to make that clear. Anything you've learned from past report cards, you have to tweak that knowledge a little bit moving forward. So with that in mind, here's how we performed. Go look at the next slide. You can see at the district level, we scored 83.7. So that scale score change to get us to 84 for that top category did come into play for us. We came 0.3 of a point short. But we did see a little over a 6-point improvement there, and we fell in that second category from the top. Greg pointed out, Big Bend, they grew a category. They're into that top category now with an 88 score. Clarendon remained in the exceeds expectations category with an 80.4. Then the rest of our elementary schools fell in that top category, significantly exceeds expectations. Want to particularly highlight Rolling Hills there. Rolling Hills, in the memo that I attached there, you might have noticed out of the 879 kind of comparable public elementary schools in the state, they tied for sixth. Numeral six. They are almost a top 5 school in the state there. So really want to applaud Rolling Hills for that work because that is a simply phenomenal achievement there. As we continue down their section, you saw some nice growth there, an improvement, and based on some nice work, which I'll talk about in a minute. Parkview, I really want to point out Parkview. Parkview, for the first time in their school history, reached that top category of significantly exceeds expectations. And that is a situation where they have put an incredible amount of work in over the years. I think that is a well-deserved recognition for that building, and I am so thrilled that they made that category. And then Mukwonago High School also jumped a category. Last year they were meets expectations. You can see that they made the greatest point gain, so that ACT improvement really, you can see the evidence of it right there, and they landed in that exceeds expectations. So Greg had the key performance indicators up there before. I just remind you, our idea is that we want all of our districts, schools, and the district to be in those top 2 categories. And so we're there, and now the goal is to get everybody up to that top category, which I think is very doable. Let's get into a little bit more detail here, and I'll quickly go through this, but you can see our rankings there. You know that each year I try to compare our district against the other 367 kindergarten through 12th grade districts around Wisconsin. So I drop out the K-8 feeder schools like Waterford graded and some in the Arrowhead area. I drop the 9-12 buildings like Arrowhead and Waterford Union. Their report cards are calculated a little bit differently than ours as a K-12 system. So you're left with this. You can see improvement in every area except for On Track for Graduation, where we dropped 1 ranking point essentially. 1 school passed us up. Let there be no doubt, we are a high achieving school. Top 20 in overall achievement, 21st in ELA, 22nd in math. Student growth has been a point of emphasis. You heard Greg talk about it in the Big Bend presentation. A number of other schools, you may have heard it in their presentations as we've gone on. 74 schools, districts we essentially passed up, top 131 now. Still not where we want to land. We want to get higher than that, but going the right direction. Target group, I talked about the bottom, our lowest performing students, that bottom 25%. We picked up 50 slots this past year. So again, trending a great direction there. And I really want to lock in on that 3rd grade ELA achievement, top 11 in the state on that one. So that is an outstanding performance. I'd highlight section too, by the way. Section tied for the top elementary score in that 3rd grade ELA out of all schools in the state. So some incredible performance amongst our schools that we should be really quite proud about. I'll go to the next slide, please. But we have work left to do. And so our goal, yes, we want every district school and our district report card to be in those top 2 categories. But Dr. Cook and I have talked about, we really want to be a top 10 district. We're a competitive lot. We want to be amongst the best, and we feel like we can be amongst the best. We have the raw materials. We have great students and community support. We have outstanding teachers. And so you can see where we fall. We're closing that gap. Our score is not that far off the top 10. You can see where we have work to do. Growth, we've talked about it. We need to work on that growth element, and we need to continue to make improvements on what we're doing around our target outcomes group as well. If you want to go to the next slide, please. I think we're going to talk a little bit about elementary growth. I had a slide in here like this last year, and I just wanted to update you. Last year you saw a lot of red ink that would be lower scores from the preceding year. This year, a little bit of red ink, but some green ink, which means we're going the right direction here. Particularly want to highlight Rolling Hills. They just have some phenomenal growth in that school. And one other sub-area I want to highlight is Section. Section's math growth. Section, as a very high achieving school, has struggled with growth over the years, and they've done some very, very targeted work to improve that student growth in math, and it is starting to pay off. And so it's nice when we can see an improvement here and we know what caused it. And so, not lucky, it's good, right? It's good work. And then I want to focus on the high school. Yep, there we go. These are the top 10. I wish we were on this list. I think we all wish we were on this list. This is our aspiration. This is where we are headed. This is where we will get, and I think it will be in the not so distant future. But you can see the overall ranks of those high schools. These are the ones that are in Waukesha County and adjacent to us. So East Troy, Palmyra, Waterford Union will be on the next slide as well. But you can see those rankings, and then you see where we fell. I'm pleased to be able to say that we did pass 2 schools. We passed Waukesha North and Oconomowoc. But you can see we've got some room to grow, and I think if we continue the trajectory that we're on with our high school assessment data, you'll see us climb this list even farther going into next year. Questions?
Any questions for Ben? The DPI, Ben, Joe, I mean, where do you go? Where do you go with that? The public knows that they're.
Yeah, I mean, the DPI, they needed to update what they were doing for a number of years. What they did and how they did it, I think is kind of the biggest point of contention for all of us. Dale, you said, for the people who are negative out on Facebook saying that the only reason we moved up was because the score changed. There's 421 public school districts in the state of Wisconsin. This formula applied to all 421. Ben, in all of his comparables, uses the K-12s, his 367 school districts. This data applies to all 300, this formula applies to all 367. As a result of that, some districts went up, we went up. We went up 6 points as an entire school district, at number 26 in the state. It's a very good position for us to be in. When you think about what the DPI did, they did it to everybody. They didn't just pick to do it to Mukwonago. So, when we start to talk about what did the state agency do, I've been in education long enough now to remember when the WKCE was put in place as a result of No Child Left Behind. I was in administration when we went from the WKCE to the Badger exam, and then for 1 year we had the test, and that's 12, 13 years ago?
12, 13 years ago.
Something like that, and then we went from the Badger to the Forward, and then we had relatively consistent data for a number of years, and the DPI renormed it. Each one of those points along the way, we always said the same things. The DPI is doing this to us, we don't understand the formulas, it doesn't make sense, why are the feds jumping in, why is the state jumping in? I think what we need to focus on as a school district and the community is, we are on a path of slow and steady growth. And in some instances, that slow part doesn't even apply. We've made some big leaps, and it's something for us to be proud of.
Absolutely, it's just the timing couldn't be worse. That we work as hard as anybody, and we've proved it. And then the DPI comes out and makes everybody look like a bunch of schmucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough being 0.3, 0.3 of a point away from being that significantly exceeds category. That being said, it's still our highest school report card score in our district, correct?
It's the highest in history, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
We're knocking on that door, and part of the reason I go through the depth of this that I do is to help us understand this and to build trust back in this, or at least action from it. And again, I will maintain, and I say this to our teachers all the time, these report cards still, the inputs are things that really matter. It's the stuff that matters. Are our kids performing well on the state assessments? Are they growing? Are they coming to school? Are they graduating on time? Are they performing in the areas that we need to? Those pieces haven't changed ultimately, and those are what we're choosing to focus in on at this point. And again, as Joe said, a lot of great things to celebrate there in terms of what we're doing with this district. So it's thrilling.
I mean, our teachers, our students, our leaders, our principals. I mean, it is a very focused effort to get the results that we're getting, and that has now been sustained for 3 years, and that is great to see. The seeds that were planted just prior to my arrival with professional learning communities and the curriculum work, the stuff that you guys have worked on for a decade at the elementary school around literacy, that is all paying dividends for us right now, and we need to remember that this isn't the fluke data point for us. This is a byproduct of a lot of long, hard work.
Yeah, anecdotally, I'll just tell you this, and then I can be done. But I sat with Parkview and MHS teachers all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday last week. We did work around, as Joe talked about, professional learning communities. We brought in somebody to facilitate some work with those teams, and the quality of the conversations that I heard, without exception, in every single one of those teams, the depth of it, the focus on student learning, the focus on student growth was incredible, and something that I think it's safe to say that in my 13 years in this district, I don't think I've seen before. And so, we've seen some initial gains. I think we're on the pathway to continue to see those gains moving forward because the work is taking place and the results come with the work. So there's some good stuff.
You have a question?
I would just add real quickly, the curriculum develop meeting that I was at, I don't know, 2 weeks ago as the board member representative. It included parents who were prior teachers, the teachers who were working on the curriculum, and after the meeting I was talking with a bunch of them, and they are they are very excited about the changes that have been made. They said it's so much of a better process right now over the last few years. They're very excited about it. So that was comforting to hear them talking like that.
I know Angela's not here to speak to that, but I do think we have, as a system, really tried to improve the transparency that we have across the board. Because it's not my school district, it's our school district. And I think we all believe that. And that's important. Parents need to be engaged in part of that process.
I'm sorry, 20 more seconds. The other thing that I was really curious, they work really hard when they bring in a new curriculum and they test it and they do all this stuff. And I was like, so what do you do if you find that it's really not working? And they were, matter of fact, we get rid of it. We try to fix it. If we can't, we start over. And they're okay with that. And that was refreshing to hear too. Like they're not just locked on, well, we have to make this thing work.
Right. Any other questions or comments? Ben, I just want to disagree with you. You would have gotten down to the nitty-gritty numbers. Jake would be the last man here.
And we'd have a great conversation. Craig would hang out too, probably. Maybe not, okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Moving on to consent agenda, looking for the approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes of November 10th, 2025, and approval of the vouchers and receipts. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, that is approved by consent. Moving on to policy update volume 34 and number 2.
Yep, so just a continuation of what we had on last week. Like I said, we'd be bringing these back for approval sometime in December, but if there's any additional questions, feel free to ask those questions tonight, or you can send me an email along the way.
January.
I just have one quick question. On the consent agenda, 10161, did I miss this before, but the very last point was decisions of expulsion panel?
Yep, so an expulsion panel will make a decision, a determination, and that will get forwarded to the whole board. The board by consent can support the decision of the panel, or the board can have the decision pulled to executive session. And when we have an expulsion happen over the course of a month, it would then go in and be agendized under executive session as well. And if the board wanted to hear information on it or modify the decision of the panel, they could do so in exec session, and then we'd come back into open session to approve that decision.
Okay, so how would information be passed prior? Say the panel decides, yes, the student needs to be expelled. Is any information given to board members who are not on the panel prior, or they're just supposed to consent with the recommendation without any real knowledge of what happened?
So the board can, without knowledge, support the decision of the panel. If the whole board wants to review it and hear it, then we would pull that item from consent and we would entertain it in exec session.
Okay, but that would be the process, right?
That would be the process.
Okay.
Yep, you'd have to request that it be withdrawn from consent.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you. Moving on to student government.
So we did some homework on the student government policy. I had a chance to meet with all of our student government advisors over the month. We did that in October. And just wanted to provide the board some background. The nice thing about that committee was we've got folks that I would say relatively new to our district, 10 years or fewer. But we also have some folks on that, that I met with that not only have been advisors and staff members in the district for 20 plus years, but also were students here in the 1980s and the 1990s. So we had some perspective that went back almost 40 years just on how student government has run in the district. So each school has a group called student government. During the 24-25 school year, there was some discussion on the nature of these groups. Upon investigation, only one MASD school utilized a voting process to select government members. The remaining 7 used an application interview process to select their leadership. The MASD schools also allow for additional student participation, and the student government participation ranges from 30 students on the low end to 150 on the high. So when we had this conversation, and I'll get into it a little bit, when talk to the teachers about it, one of the things that we discussed actually was, do we have student governments, or do we have like a student service club, where the function of the club is to do activities for the school, but from the actual civics experience, our kids gaining that campaign, the establish your platform, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but that was something that did come up. So activities, I broke these down by what does each student government club do. Starting at MHS, you can see the range of activities from blood drives and food drives to acting as ambassadors for visitors and speakers and providing feedback to the administration. The Parkview student government conducts the Spirit Days. They do some charity work. They do awards. They do school climate, like the Do Be Nice program. They also really contribute to the teacher appreciation and the 8th grade celebration. Elementary, I took the time just to list everything that I got from them or bucketed appropriately. Managing PBIS stores, organizing the lost and found, mascot costumes and school spirit type activities, assisting with family game nights and family outreach. Eagleville had a really, I think, cool, more broad thing. They fundraised for their sister school in Guatemala. And some schools used their student government members to assist with peer mediation and try to resolve conflicts before the adults needed to be engaged. Leadership activities, plan and set agendas for meetings, meet with administration on behalf of the student body, attend leadership workshops and conferences, provide class and grade level leadership for the student body, and engage in the activities listed in the previous slide. So when we looked at what their leadership activities were, these are general. They do vary a little bit by school and by level. For instance, at the high school level, there was engagement with the administration. Didn't hear a lot of that at the middle level, and heard of that at some of the elementary schools. So again, not consistent, but just the activities that they participated in. When talking to the staff and looking at what are the pros of the current model, there is a high level of student participation. The 150 student number was from Parkview, which is probably 1/5 of the school, engages in student government in one way, shape, or form. The events and the reach has a positive impact on our schools. The students who are there want to be there. Follow through has increased at the elementary and the middle level since they've gone to an application process. And the application interview process has resulted in students, again, who are committed to being on the student government versus students who just want a title. And this was a common theme, and it actually came up as one of a potential con if we were to make a shift. But there's a fear that if we went to an election model, we would be going down the road of a popularity contest, and that was something that came from the advisors. Given the number of activities that are in place and what some of the historical experience was, they would get kids who wanted to run for a position, but when it came time to come for meetings, do organizing activities in the school, be there for the dances or whatever it might be, the kids weren't showing up. And that the breadth of the activities was too much for individual students. So something for us to be mindful of. The cons of the current model, it really isn't democratic. The students are selected by staff with a current governing board, not by the whole student body. And the students miss the civic experience of creating a campaign, campaigning for a position, and electing representatives. And again, I mentioned before some of the concerns. Past experience showed that student engagement was lower. Students were not able to handle the full workload with fewer members, the reduced number of school and community events. Student campaigns not being driven by students, but by parents. We did hear this, particularly at the elementary level, that if the parent was supporting the student's position, that the posters were really nice and the speeches were very well written. They didn't necessarily reflect the fourth grader or the fifth grader who was there, that there was a lot of adult assistance in what was coming forward. MHS, to the recollection of the staff, and I mentioned this before, going back to the 1980s, never had an election process, and that this would be a substantial change from past practice, again, concern brought forward from some of the advisors. And then with elected students, removal from office process would require consideration. So we have to, if a student was elected by the student body, and that student wasn't following through on their responsibilities, how do we then go about removing them? You know, similarly as school board members, you're elected by the community to represent the community, but the next level of recourse is the next election, right? And that was something that again, the staff.
Recall.
Recall, yes. Recall. So, did talk to the staff about some possible steps going forward. Obviously, there's the option to remain status quo. We could go to an election format for all student government positions. We could create a hybrid approach, which would maintain the current application process. And then of the students who have submitted an application and shown interest, those then could be elected by the student government or by the whole student body. We could run the current student government under a different name. Like I mentioned before, this really isn't government. This is more like a service organization that would exist in our schools. That is not operating under an election format. And then we could create an elected student government to serve as a representative voice of the student body in matters that need to be addressed with school and district administration. So within that hybrid approach, you know, we could have a group, for instance, that would reach out and meet with me. We could have that group meet with their building administration and then maintain that current structure. So just some things to consider, because what those considerations and what this discussion would look like then would drive how we would want to generate policy for the school district.
Any questions or comments?
I can comment. I like the idea of the hybrid approach, and also I think in my mind it's really important for the students to cast a vote and to elect someone, but not necessarily at the elementary and middle school level. But I would really like to see that for the high school level at a minimum.
Agreed. And I was just gonna add on about the participation part. I mean, that's real life. A lot of people get involved, but only a very few are willing to step up to the plate. And you're worried about, or, you know, some of the staff are worried about participation as a whole. I think that's where, if you do hold an election, that's where the board wants to go. I think that's where maybe the elected students could create committees. So, something to think about how we wanna address this.
In the 80s in Chicago, we elected only at the high school level that I remember, and it was kind of cool voting for someone. And then I couldn't wait when I graduated to go out and vote for a real candidate, only to find out I had to be 18 and I was still 17 and missed the November election. But it was exciting to vote for a candidate. And it's so weird because we just had our 40-year reunion not too long ago, and our school president, Barb Supergam, was still there with her original speech, and she was also like the valedictorian, but everyone remembered her, and it was cool that we were like, oh yeah, you were the school president and all that. So I think the high school, it's way more important, and I wouldn't be opposed to leaving below high school status quo.
I do think it would be important to have.
Talk to the microphone, please, Crosby.
I think it would be important to have class officers for every class, not just the senior class. But you would have your freshman class president, your sophomore class president, and so forth. And you can get more kids involved, but they also have to step up, and then you run for treasurer, or you run for vice president, or you run for president. And I think that's a great way to kind of dip your toe into learning about civics.
And then having the advisors there, I think we can come a long way in teaching kids like civil discourse as well too. Because, you know, with social media especially, and kids going rampant, I think it'd be a good way to rein that type of behavior in as well.
Again, I just point to the board, just real quickly behind you, I did pull up the student government policy. And when you look at that policy, one of the reasons why we're bringing this forward and having it under a policy discussion is that this is very vague, and it doesn't mention some of the key features, I think, that have been articulated as important, both from the staff end of things, but then also from the board and in the questions and discussion we've had. So just to bring back why we're having this conversation under policy, our policy is missing some of those features.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the presentation on it.
Yes. Moving on to policy 5530.01.
So we had talked about this over a couple month period of time, and just, again, not to take action on it tonight, but just to bring us back to the discussion. We have done presentations on random drug testing for high school participants. We talked about the process associated with that, how it's a random draw, how we use our health clinic to do it. We've talked about who is subject to it, athletes, activities. There were some questions that came in. Could it be expanded to either a higher number of students? Could it be expanded to all of the clubs instead of just the select ones that had been identified? And then we did have the policy 5530.01. This was the one that would get us into full compliance with how to do this. You can see the red line in there. Again, no action tonight, but just wanted to bring us back to this. We will come back in December then to take action or to request action on this policy.
Joe, this policy does not pertain to the drug sniffing dog policy at all? Is that a policy?
No, drug sniffing dogs are just a tool that we use to keep our schools drug free.
So we just had one?
We had a search, yep.
How did that go?
We had 5 hits, but nothing was discovered. So usually when a dog hits, we did it in the parking lots. When a dog hits, that means that there was substance in the vehicle at some point, but that was not there when the hit happened.
Hit is a bad word maybe, but okay. Just saying.
I'm thinking of a different word. A dog alerted on a vehicle.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on that?
So if a dog gets alerted on a vehicle, does that person who owns the vehicle then get tested?
It doesn't automatically trigger a test. It just signifies that vehicle at one time had something in it. It depends on the type of dog too. It's important to note it depends on the type of dog. The dog is trained in drugs, but also bombs. And we just had for instance, somebody who was at the range hunting. I had this happen in my prior district, or at the range shooting. And the dog hits on it because it can smell powder. It doesn't necessarily mean that person is using drugs. So that's why we don't automatically throw them in the pool of tested. That person could be, somebody who goes to the range regularly and's got gunpowder in their vehicle. I'm sure, on my old truck, I'm sure a dog would have hit on my old truck because of all the hunting and shooting that I did, and leaving ammunition and guns in the backseat of that, when I was to and from the range. So depends on the day. I did have that happen in my prior district. Person had their car hit on. It was a staff member. The only thing they could think of was that they were at the range the day before shooting. So a lot depends on the dog and the vehicle and what that vehicle's been used for.
What does happen?
The powder poodle?
That'd be a fun call, Dale. The dog just hit on my car.
So what does happen if there is an alert or a hit on a car, but there's no substance found? Is there still a phone call?
There's a phone call home to the parents, alerting the parents that there was a hit on the vehicle.
I mean, because it could have been the parents too.
It could have. We do run into some disciplinary situations where we find that the parent is fully participating in the same thing that the kid's doing, and that makes those pre-expel meetings at Christine have that much more challenging.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you. Moving on to personnel topics.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I just have my director's report. So last week, I presented on changes to the professional and support staff handbook, and am looking to take action on those tonight. And then I presented on the calendar, which I'm also hoping to take some reaction on tonight. Sorry about that. That's it.
No problem. Any questions, comments? All right, thank you. Student service topics.
None tonight.
None.
Apologize for that, I didn't edit there.
Okay, none for Tom.
We do have the director's report from Tom. Just investment returns, he presented on our investment returns. Tax levy apportionment, he went through the tax levy. He did do a presentation on the 25-26 enrollment by school. And then he presented on the budget and where we stand within the school board budget this year.
Okay, anybody have any questions on that, comments? Okay, thank you. Moving on to action items. MHS new course proposals.
We have two courses that Angela has presented on, advanced placement pre-calculus. We want to offer that AP course. And then we want to revise the advanced sports and entertainment marketing class to be a year-long course in support of the Daktronics curriculum that was associated with the new school board.
Make a motion that we move forward with approving AP pre-calc and the sports marketing.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the new course proposals. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. We're on to staff handbook revisions.
So I am looking for approval to implement the changes to the staff handbook aligned to the sick leave and what employees can request for sick leave to be in compliance with our insurance providers.
Make a motion that we approve the changes to the professional staff handbook
And the support staff handbook.
and the support staff handbook.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. We're on to number 3, the 25-26 4K planning.
Yep, so we are looking to increase our full-day 4K sections up to 10 sections in the district, placed according to family interest and enrollment at five of our traditional elementary locations, 2 sections possibly at Big Bend, 2 at Clarendon, 2 or 3 sections at Prairie View, 1 section at Section, and 1 to 2 sections at Martinez.
Why only one section? Is it room?
It's space driven at this time. Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve providing the administration the ability to create up to 10 sections of full-day 4K for the 2026-27 school year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries. Moving on to number 4, resolution to approve the one-time voluntary early retirement window and other post-employment benefit changes.
All right, so we are looking for the board to adopt this resolution. And so in order to do so, we do need to have that resolution read out loud. Carolyn did such a great job. But beforehand, if you have any questions, there was one change between last week and this week, and that is that we did, we're looking at the OPEB benefit and then the 403B contribution change taking effect in 2020, the end of 2026, instead of this year.
So Rachel, the
We have to wait for a motion to ask
Oh, I'm
questions.
sorry. I'll make a motion. Do I have to read the motion?
You have to read it.
I'm not gonna make the motion.
He withdraws.
I withdraw.
We can, the board can make the motion, and if they request administration to read
I'd like to make the motion, have the administration confirm the motion. The reading.
The be a resolution to approve one-time voluntary early retirement window and other post-employment benefit changes. Whereas the Mukwonago Area School Board, the board desires, my microphone going in and off. Oh, thanks. Thought this was my out to not have to read it. Desires to offer a one-time voluntary early retirement incentive program to eligible teachers to freeze certain other post-employment benefit program benefits, and whereas the parameters for the program and fiscal analysis have been recommended by administrative staff and reviewed by legal counsel. Now therefore be it resolved that the board, upon recommendation of administrative staff, does hereby create a one-time voluntary early retirement incentive program to eligible teachers on the terms described below. To be eligible for all benefits under the program, a teacher in the district must be an active full-time teacher in the district between the date of this resolution and the retirement consistent with this program, and be expected to attain age 55 and complete 10 years of full-time teaching service with the district on or before September 1st, 2026, and provide the district's assistant superintendent and chief human resource officer with a written notice of intent to retire on or before February 13th, 2026, and retire from the district no later than June 11th, 2026. An individual who satisfies the preceding requirements for this one-time early retirement window will receive a 403B payout of unused sick days up to a maximum of 80 days at a daily rate of $130 per day to be paid on or before September 1st, 2026, and one additional year of access for the retiree and eligible dependents to the MASD Health Clinic from September 1st, 2026 through August 31st, 2027, and a minimum daily rate of $225 per day if hired as a substitute teacher in the district in the future. A teacher in the district who is not expected to attain age 55 and complete 20 years of full-time teaching service with the district on or before September 1st, 2026 will be eligible for a prorated OPEB benefit calculated under the terms of the current employee handbook for professional staff, where the proration is determined by dividing the individual's years of full-time service as a teacher in the district by 20. For example, a retiree with 17 years of full-time teaching service in the district would receive 17 out of 20 of the prorated full OPEB benefit. And be it further resolved that the board, upon recommendation of administrative staff, does hereby adopt the following prospective changes to certain benefits set forth in the employee handbook for professional staff effective as of July 2026. All health plan-based benefit at retirement OPEB benefits for all the benefit tiers will be frozen effective June 30th, 2026 without any credit or contribution for service after that date. And the district will increase the matching contribution made under the pre-retirement benefit, OPEB benefit for Tier 5, Tier 6, and Tier 7, which includes a 403B plan contribution, from a maximum of $500 per year to a maximum of $750 per year, beginning with service and deferrals on or after July 1st, 2026. And be it further resolved that the district superintendent or his designees acting alone or together, be and hereby is authorized and directed to communicate and administer the early retirement window as outlined above, and be it further resolved that the district superintendent or his designees acting alone or together, be and hereby is authorized and directed to revise the employee handbook for professional staff to reflect the preceding OPEB provision changes, and be it further resolved that any and all of the acts of doings of the district's administrative officers, whether heretofore or hereafter, taken or done, which were or are intended to be in conformity with the purposes and intent of these resolutions, shall be in all respects ratified, approved, and confirmed.
Did we have a second on that? Okay.
Well done.
Any questions or comments?
Could we go over that one more time?
Any questions?
I do. Just legally to be distinctive with The first, now therefore it be resolved to be eligible for all benefits. The second, open circle. Does it matter or do you need to put in to attain a minimum age of 55 and complete a minimum of 10 years? And if that's just assumed, that's fine with me, but legalese, it just seems like you have to put a minimum in there or something.
So we worked with our district attorneys to draft this, and so you're talking about the second page, that first bullet?
First page.
First page, oh, thank you. And can you say what you said again, I'm sorry?
Okay, so at, now therefore it be resolved, go down to the second open circle.
Yep.
Be expected to attain a minimum age of 55 and complete a minimum of 10 years, is what I'm thinking, but if that's not a big deal, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I think we're comfortable with this. Again, we did have our attorneys look at this language, and so I think we're okay with that. They have to attain age 55 and they have to have completed 10 years of experience.
Fine by me, thanks, just
Okay.
bringing it up.
Thank you, Junior Assistant Lawyer Mike Gooch.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those that are not, say no. Motion carries. Moving on to the 26-27 revised district calendar.
Thank you, Joe. Do you mind putting the calendar up? So, this was a fun day for Rachel. The calendar went out, and the next morning I get a phone call from one of our lovely principals, and he said, hey, is there a reason we're not aligned to all of Waukesha County? And I said, tell me more. And I said, we are aligned to Waukesha County, and then it was literally probably a 30-minute, I ran to Ben's office. I'm like, Ben, did we do this on purpose to allow for maximum time for the construction company to work? And Ben kind of looked at me, and maybe this is all way too much information, but I'm just going to share it with you anyway. And so I feel like I remember that discussion, and then I looked at some of the other Waukesha County calendars, and I'm like, that's not right. And then I went to the document that we all share as a district, or I'm sorry, as a county group, and realized, well, that's a botch on my part. So the plus is that we fixed it relatively quickly. The other plus is that teachers, I think, are going to be really excited because they only have to return back for 1 day after students leave and not 2 days. But we did feel the need to remedy the error and align with all of Waukesha County schools. We did confirm with Cullen that it was not construction related, that they could still finish the new construction on the middle school, so that the plan is still that teachers and students would move in the day that they return on that March 30th, and so that 29th still is a professional learning day for staff, because we do still want the teachers to be able to prepare what they need to do. And my apologies.
Rachel, graduation is on June what?
Graduation would be on May 30th. Early.
So we're looking for a motion to approve the revised district calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised district calendar for 26-27.
Second. We have a motion and second. Any questions or comments? Rachel, do you want to just let everybody know why it's important to align with the rest of Waukesha County?
Yeah, we have a couple of things. We have a lot of teachers who have kids in other districts. We have, from an event standpoint, the same week off allows for teams, athletic events, things like that, for us to kind of be aligned. And so just, again, an alignment allows everybody to just really be in sync around those things. It does create a burden, I would say, for, again, staff and kids when my kids go to a different district and I can't take off that same week from a daycare perspective. That's a burden. But like I said, there's also after-school activities that when we're not aligned creates an additional burden.
Rachel, would you go back to the calendar real quick?
Yep.
Joe, sorry, Joe. Go to May, please. Okay, I just, for my own sanity, it's, graduation's on the 30th.
So we have tentatively penciled in that date. We understand that that's Memorial Day weekend, and so again, we'll have to talk with.
Exactly what's going with that.
Yeah, I think that we don't typically solidify when we approve this, things like conference dates. So I think Stephanie and her team will have to talk to her parent advisory. Stephanie has a parent advisory, I know she's meeting with them tonight. I don't know that you'd want to, we have historically allowed seniors that week prior off. That would put them at the 21st, ending on the 21st, and then graduation on the 22nd. I think that's a conversation that the high school needs to have. Hopefully, I mean, we're a year and a half out.
I don't have a problem with it, but I will be gone, so be it.
Any other questions or comments? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Moving on to unfinished business, superintendent's report.
Yeah, so just, I mean, a lot to celebrate right now. We had a great fall. Andy Trudell will be here to talk about fall sports in December. But this past weekend was, swimming state. We had a lot of great performances. We just did very, very good athletically. I'll let Andy kind of take the torch with that in December. The progress at Parkview, I would invite you guys in if you've got a day. We can get you on site and walking around. It looks like one thing from the road, it's another thing to be out there walking around the construction site. They have made a lot of progress. The next 2 weeks are gonna be very busy. Frost walls will be going in. They will be building that site up, so as you look at it, it is gonna be built up 4 feet. So if you can imagine just from like where the first floor is gonna start, it's gonna be 4 feet higher than what that ground currently is right now. They did move 15,000 yards of ground off that property. There's a stack at the high school, there's a big mound behind Parkview right now. They are this week putting pylons in right next to the old Parkview, so if you've got middle schoolers and they're saying it's a little bit loud at school, they're gonna be filling concrete pylons in to the ground. So just a lot of work happening all at once. Underground utilities will be finished up soon. The sewer will be rerouted around the property. So just a lot of good work there. I wanna take a minute to thank the students, the staff, the families for our academic results. It has been remarkable to watch not only the work on the inside, but just to see that annual marker. We're not satisfied with where we're at, but we have come a long way. And that's, kudos to all of those people day to day that are involved in that. The focus of our students and our teachers, the hard work that's going in is remarkable. I do want to take a minute to thank Rachel. As you can see, the building is going up. But right now, Rachel and the Parkview leadership team are working to get what does the school look like come September 1st of 2027. So they're navigating, and you'll see recommendations and formal updates starting after the first of the year. But they're working through what does the building schedule need to look like? What course offerings do we have? What does the bell schedule look like? What do we need to do from a staffing perspective? What are things that need to be redeveloped and relaunched at the school, knowing that we're gonna be adding essentially 2/3 of the school is gonna be new when that building opens up. The 6th and 7th graders will never really have been there before. So all really important things for us to do. The building is gonna be the physical representation of that, but Rachel and the team are putting together the operational component of that, and that's a lot of work, and we do really appreciate it. I do wanna wish everybody a great deer hunt this year for those of you who are participating, and a happy Thanksgiving. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Verts has a sign for free clean fill, so if you need some of those yards of dirt moved over.
Thank you, Craig, for offering your backyard. We'll send a few quad axles over to your old ski hill in the backyard.
Dirt or deer, brown is down.
I want to thank all the school board members. This is what we go through all this for, is the results of our kids, and seeing those results. We should all take a little credit for that as well. And I want to thank some of the current board members here, Carolyn and Craig, and past school board members that chose Dr. Cook to lead this, lead the team here in the district, and just reaffirms that we made the right choice. So thank you. All right, I think we're done then. I think we're looking for a motion to close.
Make a motion to close.
Second. Motion is second. Crosby, roll call, please.
Jason,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.